My sister had told me about Sofia Coppola's movie, The Virgin Suicides, and with a short research I found the book. I read something about the author, Eugenides, and the fact that its style was close to Nabokov's fascinated me, because that means he is an artist who likes taking into account themes that were considered taboos in the past and still today. I love the silent agreement that the author makes with his writing, because the result is a pure truth. I love books that talk about themes which could be far from the reader's experiences, but manage to enter into their hearts. In brief, after understanding that Eugenides is an avant-garde artist, I understood he would be the right choice, even though I was not very attracted by the movie, since Sofia Coppola had already disappointed me once. Jeffrey Eugenides was born in Detroit in 1960 and has Greek origins. After graduating at Stanford University, he moves to New York in 1986, where he starts writing on famous magazines such as The New Yorker, The Paris Review, The Yale Review, and Granta. He made his debut with The Virgin Suicides in 1993, followed by Middlesex, with whom he was awarded the Pulitzer Prize in 2003, and The Marriage Plot in 2011. He loved reading Bellow, Roth, Nabokov, James, Woolf, but especially Joyce. That's why, while studying at the Brown University, he carried a walking stick to imitate his idol. Today, Eugenides teaches at one of the Ivy League universities in New Jersey. In an interview, he says that he aims at writing books which transcend time and anticipate where culture will arrive. This author embodies the artist's image, who prepares the ground to question the world on difficult topics. My choice is The Virgin Suicides. The story takes place in a residential district of Detroit in Michigan in 1947. Lisbon sisters are the protagonists. Cecilia, 13 years old, Lux, 14, Bonnie, 15, Mary, 16, and Therese, 17. Their lives is immediately afflicted by death. Cecilia is the first to commit suicide, followed by her sisters almost a year later. The narrators are 5 boys, now adults, that lived in the same district of the Lisbon sisters and who had always been moved by the girls' angelic beauty and their mysterious and early will of death. Various chapters are dedicated to Lux, the most sensual and rebellious of the sisters, that secretly dates the school's most popular guy, Trip Fontaine, before having clandestine sexual relations on her house's roof. Everyone has his own interpretation on teenage suicide. At that time, people were mostly ignorant and superstitious, and said suicide was simply caused by neurological problems. Some blamed the sisters' parents for their death. Mr. Lisbon, a math teacher and a passive person, and Mrs. Lisbon, an excessively strict and sanctimonious mother. Anyway, the boys, now adults, still collect evidence of the 5 sisters. They're imbued with vivid memories of their performances and moods, and will always be tormented because they will never understand the reasons behind such a sad choice. After finishing the book, I knew it would be difficult for any director to bring the character's personality on a screen. In fact, the narration consists of few dialogues, and the author paints his marionettes through details that help the reader to have a clear image of the appearance, the identity, and the emotions of the protagonists. I personally think that all of this cannot be understood by the movie's audience, which is disappointed if he read the book or is confused if he didn't. The screen does not manage to convey two important elements that stand by the reader until the last page. The creepy charge that always stays in the background throughout the story, and the plot's mystery. The creepy charge is obviously absent in the movie because it is replaced with an excessive jovial behavior of the female protagonists, who are constantly surrounded by a shadow of darkness in the book. Nonetheless, the director fairly brought on screen their charmer power. By speaking about the plot's mystery, I'm not referring to the fact that the movie does not give an answer on the girl's suicide, since also the book gives the reader the chance to question himself and to find the answers. I am referring to the fact that by not underlining the power and the deepness of the concept painted by Eugenides, Sofia Coppola is too superficial and does not stimulate the audience to think. Nevertheless, at the end, through the book's last sentence, she manages to give the audience the chance to get the eternal love and the implacable incomprehension that the narrators feel towards the Lisbon sisters, even after many years. The first set of themes of the book lies in the context in which the plot is developed, that is to say, a bourgeois America where good manners, a falsely candid appearance, the indifference of gossips, and ignorance and stupidity are cardinal. These behaviors are adopted by the neighborhood, that instead of sincerely and concretely comforting the family, peeps at the facts behind the window's curtains. But they are also adopted by Mrs. Lisbon, an extremely religious and strict mother who does not want her children to be in contact with the world, as if it could dirty them with humanity and normality, things that do not belong to them, so pure and untouchable. It is their mother who wants them to be virgin, which also means without freedom and warmth. This probably leads the girl to the will of dying, and death is one of the milestones of the book. I use the word probably because no one gives a precise answer to the girl's suicide. Their physical characteristics, blonde hair, soft skin, and rosy lips, match with angels, but the cunning of their gestures and the nudity of their look lead the reader to match them with witches. In both cases, they are sacrificial victims who embody political, social, and economic decadence, even if in a final moment the author talks about them as barred goddesses that do not have enough space for their ego in a district of Michigan. The last central and hidden theme is the one of the big and fascinating gap between the male and the female worlds. The boys who narrate the story do not remain anchored to the mystery of the sisters' death as if they were investigators who did not manage to solve their investigation. They remain attached to them because the nebulous reason of their suicide symbolizes how hard it is for boys to reach the mind and the soul of girls, disguised women, creatures who have a million shapes and get lost in complex thoughts and feelings, but who are, at the same time, so resolute and ready for all. I do not think we could define the book as a stylistically light and fluid reading, since it has a few dialogues and endless descriptions, even futile, that lead the reader to get lost. But I also believe this was Eugenides' objective, because he creates dynamism by hindering the reader's curiosity, which flows throughout the plot and is not disappointed by an end that has no explanation. Not only because it questions the reader by giving him the chance to have a personal interpretation, but also because the Lisbon sisters, by appearing as goddesses, witches, mermaids, or angels that belong to the fantastic and the divine, justify the absence of an unambiguous answer. However, for me, the most fascinating things are the closure and unhappiness of an American world made of appearances that limit teenagers' light hearts, and the boys' adoration for the Lisbon case, which does not leave them as adults. What touched me is that their senses are filled with Lux's lipstick's perfume, the ink of Cecilia's diary's pages, and with all the unforgettable details that the five sisters left behind, all connected with the thread of a conscious death.